Hello
Hello.
there. Hello, everybody.
Hi.
Welcome back to Vinyl with Taste. This is our episode Lucky 13, and I'm Old School Pat.
My name is Dancehall Neil the Third.
And
Where
today we're bringing you our second ambitious episode of the Roots of Punk. This time covering the years from 1966 to 1975. Basically everything up to the Sex Pistols' Energy in the UK.
that's right. All right. So I'm gonna just kick it off here with the Safe as Milk from Captain Beefheart
Captain Beefheart.
and his magical band. This is
Yeah.
the Buddha record. It's got the bonuses on there, like the inside photograph. Man, he was so young.
Mm-hmm.
So young
A
there.
very, very young Don Van Vliet.
Man, and it's crazy because like you could tell he's so trying to just belt out that like kind of like a Delta blues vocal, but it's so avant garde. But you know, because then when he tries to sing, it's like, you know, in the later '70s, it's like he's not trying to do that blues thing, you know.
Yeah, he was very much a Howlin' Wolf fan. Early on, you can hear it in the you can definitely hear it in the debut album, Safe as Milk.
Oh yeah.
Maybe Howlin' Wolf on like 7 hits of acid.
Yeah, I mean, and that's something that continues on to Trout Mask Replica. That his vocals very much that way, even though the music is weirder.
Yeah, the just a story of how he made Trout Mask Replica should be a book itself. Yeah. I mean,
he wrote the music without really knowing how to play any of that shit.
He also held his band hostage in a house and forced them to practice like hours and hours every day and like beat them and shit.
because you had to play that stuff a certain way, and it couldn't have been easy because he didn't know what the hell he was doing, but he knew how he wanted it. Moving along here, we got Mothers of Invention Freak Out album. That's also a CD.
This is Captain Beefheart's friend Frank Zappa.
Yep, this came out '66. That's the CD version. Like the cool inserts and shit. I heard of Beefheart through Zappa, which is, I don't know, but I always liked them better. I mean, Zappa had an ear for the unusual. It's like the albums from Fisher that he put out, like that guy was whacked.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got that too. Looking back, maybe I wouldn't say that's essential, but but yeah. Freak Out is, in my opinion. So, and that brings us to who does that bring us to?
I think I'm up next with, like you were saying, you got into Captain Beefheart by way of Zappa. Well, I got into Captain Beefheart because, you know, I heard that Johnny Rotten really liked Captain Beefheart. And another band, early 60s band that Johnny Rotten really liked was The Doors, believe it or not. So, The Doors, I pulled out their first album out, which is their best album. I mean, if you get anything else by The Doors, I mean, I think the first album is the best one in terms of presenting the band's sound, the early sound of Break On Through the Other Sides, Crystal Ship, Light My Fire, The End.
Needs more organ.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, pop music that really went deeper into the subconscious. Their second album is also essential, Strange Days. Their third album is also essential, I would say, Waiting for the Sun.
Doors of the Mind.
Yeah, the Doors are well known and very, you know, famous. There was the Oliver Stone movie with Val Kilmer, probably his best role. And the Doors had a really good box set put out in the 90s or early 2000s, which is worthwhile as well. But I mean, if you get nothing else from the Doors, the first album, I would recommend unreservedly.
What'd you think of the movie that they came out with was it the late 90s?
It was the early 90s, yep.
Oh, good Lord, was it that long ago? Jeez,
yeah,
man.
It was good. A lot of people, I've heard people say, you know, that the movie made Jim Morrison look like a punk rocker. So, but yeah, it's a good movie. It's definitely, watching Val Kilmer like embody Jim Morrison the way he does is pretty impressive. I heard it took Kilmer a while to like lose the role. Like he's such a method actor that he had to go through therapy to like disentangle himself from the Jim Morrison.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
All right, so well, let's talk about the MC5s. Speaking, we're already coming on the end of the 60s with 69 for
Yep.
the first album here. Kick Out the Jams, which is live.
Yeah, kick out the jams, brothers and sisters.
Yeah, the edited.
That's
This
what it said for years on the reissue
Mhm.
because they had banned the bad word.
Yep, this is bad word included on this version. MC5, they were loud, and it's like you could tell. It reminds me of like how Hendrix stuff. Like when you listen to it, it just sounds so overdriven.
Right.
Like even if you're playing Hendrix on a quiet volume, it still sounds loud, and that's how this album is. I mean, and it was live, and I'm sure they just actually literally kicked out said jam.
Yeah.
And then back in the USA, that was 70?
Yeah.
Yeah. And this was cool. I mean, I like the Tutti Frutti. It kicks off with that cover.
Yeah.
It's all fast and stuff, so that's cool. This album is still a loud album, but it's the only two I really wanted for me.
Well, I can pick it up from there because I've got the third one.
Yeah, you got that pulled?
Yeah, I'll show it to you. Hopefully it'll show up right.
You get that on vinyl? Yep. High Times?
Yeah, it's called High Time.
High Time.
Funny you mentioned High Times because the title of the magazine High Times comes from this album.
Does it?
The publisher of High Times, his name was Tom Forcade, whatever, I don't know how you pronounce his last name, but he was a big MC5 fan, big fan of the album High Time, and he named his marijuana magazine after that.
A big fan of the Pistols too, I imagine.
Yeah, he actually shot the DOA movie, which was basically a chronicle of the Sex Pistols when they toured the South of America in late 1977, early 78. And the last MC5 one, though, that I'll tell you about is I've got a pretty good compilation of the MC5 called The Big Bang, Best of the MC5, and it's worthwhile to get your hands on. If you don't have all the MC5 stuff, you can get the singles like I Can Only Give You Everything, Looking at You, which are otherwise unavailable. And those are good songs that have been covered. And I had the Damn cover, Looking at You, on the third album, Chain of Etiquette. But that's the MC5. Definitely big influence on the high energy of punk rock music.
Absolutely, and the attitude, not just the sound, but the attitude too. I think it was
Sure.
a big influence on punk.
Yeah.
And then let's speak on the Love It to Death here. This is the LP, the Alice Cooper Band.
Oh yeah, they're great. Love It to Death was not their first album, but
No.
I think it's their best album.
Yeah, right. It's my favorite too.
It's got I'm 18 and Ballad of Dwight Fry and Black Juju.
It sure does. Yep, I like that one.
I've got this little
1971.
Oh yeah. I've got this. I went to FYI, the Dying Mall record store.
FYE, right?
FYE, and I got this like 3 Alice Cooper CDs. This set here for like $9.99. But it was a great bargain. I mean, it gave me Love It to Death, School's Out.
Hold that a little higher.
Oh, sorry.
All right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Sometimes those sets, man, they're lifesavers.
Yeah, I mean, for $10, I got Love It to Death. I got School's
Out. It's a great one.
The best of Alice Cooper, which was released right before he broke his band up and went solo in 1975. But yeah, the best of Alice Cooper is a good comp too, because the one I just mentioned, because it has stuff from all of his albums, including the album Killers, which was Johnny Rotten's favorite album of all time. They asked him, and he said that was his favorite record.
Yeah. That's weird for it to be his favorite, but
yeah,
it's a good.
It's a good album. It's got Under My Wheels and all that.
Yeah. I'm sure he's got his reasons.
Yeah.
So Mott the Hoople.
this is a David Bowie production from what year was it, Neil?
This one is 1973.
Nice.
Yeah, this one came out in 73. This is Mott the Hoople. Was this done by Bowie?
Well, All the Young Dudes was produced by David Bowie.
All the Young Dudes.
Yep.
Yeah, this one I got this at a flea market, a long time ago, and I thought that they looked I don't know, like Alice Cooper-y, kind of like Roxy Music-y, kind of like. So I figured I'd like it. I just got it based on the cover. I didn't really read about it or anything. I'm just like, I bet this is good, and it was. I've had it all these years. I've had it forever.
That's great.
Like probably 25 years.
Yeah.
And it wasn't in super great shape when I got it, but it hasn't degraded since it's been in my hands. That's for sure. It's a good album.
Nice.
Right.
I'd say since we brought it up because of Bowie's production of Mott the Hoople, I would just stop and say about Bowie. We talked last time about how he was the link bringing American music, like the Velvet Underground, to Britain by way of covers like he did of Waiting for the Man, and songs where he played homage to the Velvet Underground like Queen Bitch. But all of Bowie's albums from Hunky Dory to Diamond Dogs are essential pre-punk albums. They would be Hunky Dory, Ziggy Bowie, The Rise and Fall of Ziggy Stardust, of course, Aladdin Sane, and Diamond Dogs. And Bowie also produced a couple other things that were very important pre-punk, which would Lou Reed's Transformer.
Yeah, pull that.
And, and the Stooges. But did you pull the Transformer album? Yeah, because that was.
Yeah, it's right here. I got it on CD. Transformer. Pretty crazy, pretty crazy lyrics. I wouldn't say they're like super deep or anything, but they dealt with topics like, that who that nobody's writing about in rock music in 1972. Not that I think.
Right.
Not in pop music,
Right.
And this is a great album because it starts out super heavy, but then by the end it's like it's so light, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But it has it punches you in the gut straight away. And speaking of Lou Reed, I'll just pull these other two that I really like. This is 72 record titled Lou Reed. I like that record a lot. I bought that from a homie who was selling some records a few years ago. And then I have Rock and Roll Animal here, LP, all glammed up and shite.
Oh yeah.
That's a really good one. The Rock and Roll Animal is live. But yeah, I mean, I guess big influence on what became punk rock in America and in England as well.
Yep, and Bowie also produced the third album by the Stooges, who I wanted to talk about next if we could, just because it's right there time slot wise.
Keep us in line, Pat. Keep us in line here.
I'm trying. The first Stooges album was produced by John Cale. He was also in the Velvet Underground. Cale produced a lot of things, but the Stooges' first album was, hugely important pre-punk. It has the songs like No Fun, it's covered by the Sex Pistols. I Want to Be Your Dog, everybody knows that.
Yeah, and this is Raw Power. This one's my favorite. Iggy and the Stooges CD, but I can't show that without showing Iggy and the Stooges More Power, which is a double CD with different things on it from the Stooges. Tight Pants, I Gotta Write, Louie Louie, Head On, Cry For Me, Cock in My Pocket, all, Wild Love, Born in a Trailer, Give Me Some Skin, Rubber Legs, all decent enough to, I mean, it doesn't sound like dog shit, but it's the recordings are decent enough to if you want to get what the sessions were with other songs like B-sides of the album, get this one.
Gotcha.
double CD. So and then this one from Bomp Records. This is all live. This is California Bleeding.
Nice. I never even heard of that one.
Yeah, it's the. Is this Bomp Records? I don't want to speak out of my ass. Yeah, it is. It's Bomp Records. I bought it for the booklet. If you get this one, be forewarned, the audio quality is a little bit atrocious. But the booklet's cool. There's a lot to read about these shows, and stuff like that. Where Iggy and the Stooges were at their most infamous.
Nice. Yeah, I pulled out Funhouse, which is the second Stooges LP.
Mm-hmm.
And it's probably my favorite one. I think I mentioned that before.
Yeah, absolutely.
But the production on this album is great.
A lot of people really like that album. A lot of people really like Raw Power too. But it's funny. I've never heard anybody that is a Stooges fan or really into Iggy be like, I like the first one. Just give me that first. And the first one was great, but everybody that says what their favorite Stooges albums were, nobody ever says that one.
Yeah,
I've never heard it.
It's good. It's really all good. And the only song on it that really, it just drones on and on for me. We Will Fall is 10 minutes of lesson, and I skipped that one. The whole rest of the album is completely essential, great, rock music.
And I like the Stooges because they weren't. I never thought that they were a rock and roll band at all. They were something different than that.
Yep. Yeah.
They were freaks. It wasn't rock and roll. It was I don't know what it was.
Yeah.
But their early when they first got together and started playing, they didn't even have a drum set. They had gas cans that they would play with live. And I even have some recordings of that. And the funny thing is you couldn't tell that that's not a drum set. And it's not. It's just a bunch of gas cans put together.
Do you have Metallic KO?
Yeah.
Oh, killer.
Yeah, pull that. Metallic.
Now that's a fun concert to listen to. It sounds like he's starting a riot the whole time, and he's asking people to throw eggs at him.
Oh yeah, he gets the cussing, and he gets pretty nasty with the audience, just just throwing insults at him and things. It's got.
I also like on that album he does this. He does the dirty version of Louie.
Louie, which is 8 minutes long. I think it's long.
No kidding.
Or maybe it's not that long, but I know in the beginning of that song, he's like, "Do you want to hear a 10-minute version of Louie?" It doesn't go on that long. Because the whole album's not that long, it's an LP. It's only 6 songs.
Yeah.
You can get it on CD with it's extra tracks, but I haven't really got there yet. But it's good. I like it. That man.
All right. I guess moving on to the next great punk prototype band, we have to mention would be the New York Dolls.
Yes.
Whose sound I think was guitar wise was copied by the Sex Pistols, and they only put out 2 albums before their early demise, which was caused by a lot of drug issues and death in the band with Billy Murcia. But the first album, self-titled New York Dolls, everybody knows. I pulled Too Much Too Soon out, which I have on vinyl.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, I have the other one on vinyl somewhere, but I haven't found it. But this is the second one, produced by Shadow Morton, Too Much Too Soon. And the New York Dolls and the glam sound, a far bigger influence on punk than most people would like to admit, as well as a lot of the glam bands.
Absolutely. It was that, it was the attitude, and glam metal in the 80s had nothing to do with glitter and glam stuff of the late 60s and early 70s.
That's true.
It's disgusting, ugh. No, and you know what? Nobody makes that comparison, so I'm not gonna bitch about that.
Did you pull any of your glam stuff?
I did, but we'll talk about this Death record real quick. Death.
Oh yeah, okay.
Drag City re-put that out. Band, from 1971. I think these recordings were 1975. I think I only heard about this album when it came out because I was looking up a couple of other things from Drag City record label. And I was like, well, what the hell's this? This is like on their new releases. So I read about it and, I wanted to get a copy of that. And I feel like that's been forever. Yeah. Speaking of glam, though, I got, this was a big influence on the Ramones, Slade.
Oh, yeah.
Ramones were big fans. Slade. I like this album. I have other Slade albums, but I'm just going to pull this one because this is my favorite one.
Nice.
This was from 1972. I have Slade in Flames. This is 74. But their 72 album is better. I like that one. It's very good.
Yeah, I can't leave glam entirely behind without mentioning Sweet, who did Ballroom Blitz, and but the other really really big one that I love is Roxy Music.
Yep. Just listened to music for pleasure this morning. I have a CDR, so I don't actually have it bought, but I have it on CDR.
Okay. But yeah, the first 4 Roxy Music albums are undeniably big influences on punk. I mean, the Sex Pistols called themselves The Strand originally, which was after a song on For Your Pleasure called Do the Strand.
Now they look like Roxy Horror Picture Show rejects. If you've seen early pictures of them, don't they?
Oh yeah.
They look like they should be in that movie.
Yeah, they definitely fit in with that. They're way before Rocky Horror Picture Show, quite frankly. And the first 2 albums, which were the first one was self-titled Roxy Music, and the second was For Your Pleasure. But those 2 had Brian Eno in the band.
That's right.
With his very otherworldly synthesizer sounds. There's nothing like the first 2 Roxy Music albums.
Yeah, he did synthesizers and treatments on that.
Yeah.
On early.
I've been listening to a lot of this stuff in quarantine lately. That I didn't really. I listened to it before, but let's just say I've gone back and I'm rediscovering some of the stuff. I really, really like those first 2 Roxy Music albums. And then the 2 after that are also good. Country or Stranded and Country Life.
Country Life. That's one I've never heard that one before. What's that? The 3rd record, 4th record?
It's the 4th. Yeah,
Country Life
is the 4th.
Wow.
Yeah.
So we'll speak on the Flaming Groovies because you kind of have to. Now,
absolutely.
I showed Teenage Head when we talked about the death of the drummer recently, so I'm not going to pull that out again. The 1971 album. Yeah, I don't want to get into repeating myself too much.
No, right. I mean, but that is a classic record. It had their first singer on it that passed away.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Flaming Groovies were doing basically in Europe. They were one of the only high energy rock groups performing immediately before punk. There's a good Flaming Groovies compilation that I have called Groovy's Greatest Grooves.
Groovy's Greatest Grooves.
I can show you that one. You see it?
Get a little steady, a little more with the Felix. Yeah, all right. That's cool.
Yeah, I mean it's got all the really big hits like Shake Some Action, Slow Death. I really liked the early Flaming Groovies. They kept going into the later 70s, and they had a big 60s fetish, so to speak.
60s fetish.
I mean, they sounded like the Beatles sometimes, on some of their songs, but their covers, they did Bob Dylan's Absolute Sweet Marie. I like it better than Bob Dylan.
Of course.
I love the Flaming Groovies. I got to see them in Philly a few years ago. Back when you could see concerts.
Yeah. That'll be different. Now, so that's going to bring us up to about 1974, 4. And I know we were going to cut it at 4, but you really can't talk about a prelude to punk without 1975.
That's true.
So we have Blondie, Patti Smith, Talking Heads, Television, Ramones, Runaways. I mean, what have you got pulled? Talk about something you got pulled.
Sure. Let me talk about, before we leave England for New York, because that's where we're going with this, New York and Cleveland, before we leave England altogether, I just want to bring up Hawkwind.
Yes.
That's a big influence on what became punk, because everybody who was became involved in the punk music was listening to Hawkwind in 1972 when they were putting out LPs like In Search of Space.
And an early Coon Transmissions played a show with Hawkwind early on, and I bet that was a show.
Yeah.
To see.
I bet it was. I mean, you're talking about Hawkwind with their, the naked dancers and Lemmy all speeding out of his head.
Yep.
I pulled a Hawkwind best of compilation called 25 Years On, and this CD here has got all their biggest hits like Silver Machine, Shouldn't Do That.
Yep, Silver Machine. Speaking of Silver Machine, Psychic TV or PTV3 covered that on their album. They were doing a lot of albums that were 3 or 4 songs, but lasted like 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 minutes. But that's another topic for another day. I have Patti Smith pulled Horses.
Good. That's some early stuff. Yeah, Patti Smith started out with
75.
Before that's the first album.
Yeah.
Right before Horses, which is a classic album, she did the 7-inch of Hey Joe and Piss Factory.
Yeah, Hey Joe. I love that cover of Hey Joe. I don't think there's any drums in that, or there's drums at the end. It starts with a guitar and her vocal for like half the song, and then it gets. That's a good one. Talking Heads.
Horses was great. Radio Ethiopia was after that. Talking Heads, yeah, Neil, you got them. See, this is where me and Neil differ because I don't have anything by Talking Heads except for possibly the song Psycho Killer.
On like a compilation or something, I imagine. Yeah. Blondie, you got that pulled?
I do. I have Blondie's first 3 records were Blondie, Plastic Letters, and Parallel Lines, and I pulled those. This is the first one.
Yeah, the first one is great. Like the CD's got some killer bonus tracks on it.
Oh, nice.
Man, it's kind of like that sums up New York, man. In 75, 76. That was what our shit sounded like. Not all of it, but that's what a lot of it sounded like. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Gotta mention bands like the Neon Boys, who became Television.
Yep.
They were recording as early as 1973. The Neon Boys. That's all I know right now. I've heard it recently for the first time.
Neon Boys.
And I wasn't very impressed by it, but I like Television.
I like them.
Yeah, I mean, they're hugely influential.
Television.
Do you have Television?
Marquee Moon.
Oh, nice.
I don't know. I wouldn't say it's art rock, but then there's a lot of people that would disagree with me on that. But, I don't like the term art rock. I think it's kind of a stupid term. But I don't use the term post-punk either. I think that's kind of an equally stupid term.
Yeah. Of course, the split-off band from Television would be Richard Hell and the Voidoids.
Oh, yeah, you got that pulled?
Oh, gosh. Where did I put it? Blank Generation, everybody knows that one is...
Voidoids.
Yeah. He did a second album called Destiny Street, same lineup. Richard Hell and the Voidoids are very well worthwhile. Also up from Boston, you had Jonathan Richman and the Modern Lovers, who was also doing material this time, like Roadrunner and Pablo Picasso.
Yep, and here's one, Runaways, different area.
I gotta mention those. The Runaways, blazing female pioneers of rock.
Teenage Jailbait, Joan Jett.
Can't talk about this period without bringing up the Ramones.
Ramones, yep, okay, but and you know what? It's if you haven't been sick of us talking about the Ramones, it's something that we'll probably keep talking about, and we should.
Yeah.
Because you shouldn't forget.
There was nothing that sounded like the Ramones' debut album when it came out.
Yeah. And they were just a bunch of freaks,
Yeah. I won't spend too much time on it because we did a whole episode of the Ramones. But suffice it to say that the first 4 albums of Ramones, Leave Home, Rocket to Rush, Road to Ruin, absolutely essential. There's been several best of compilations on them. The first was Ramones Mania, that came out all the way in 1988. I have that. One of the better ones is Weird Tales of the Ramones, which keeps the story going through the rest of their career. Gosh, I love the Ramones. I'm so glad I got to see the Ramones. And can't leave this time period without going to Cleveland as well, because New York didn't have exclusive jurisdiction over U.S. bands that became punk influences, but Cleveland had a huge scene with bands like Rocket from the Tombs.
Yeah, Dave Thomas was in that, and members of the Dead Boys too, right?
That's correct. Yeah, Cheetah Chrome.
Yeah,
was in that, and so I don't actually have any of the Rocket from the Tombs.
And you know why? Because those, like, even the remastered CDs are so hard to get. You're gonna spend like $40 on it.
Oh,
that's why I don't have it.
Yeah, but I pulled my Perubu because this is all singles that were released between 1975. Beginning of 1975.
Nice.
Singles like 30 Seconds Over Tokyo.
Yeah, is that still sealed?
Is it still what?
Sealed?
No, it's not. It's just like I slid a hole in it so I can get the CD out of it. You know what I mean? I've got their first album, Modern Dance, here. I've got their second album,
Dub Housing, yeah. Dub Housing's a good one.
Also from Cleveland were the Electric Eels.
Yes.
On that.
You got that pulled too?
Yeah, Neil and I both have Electric Eels compilations. Mine is called God Says Fuck You.
And you know what? They both pretty much have the same stuff on them.
Yeah.
It's all stuff from what, like 70, what is it, 73 to 75, is it?
Yeah. I mean, really early stuff. And very, very hate-filled music if you've ever heard songs like Agitate.
And they were Beefheart fans themselves.
They were. I think the story goes that they saw Captain Beefheart perform live and they thought, we could be more entertaining than that.
All right, so this is my CD. This one is Eyeball from Hell. And this is all stuff from 75. Now, let me ask you this. When did they start?
You're talking about Eels?
Yeah.
It was either 73 or 74.
It was early.
Yeah. Because they were recording in 74. Yeah, I think it was 73, 74. And they had the Cramps drummer, Nick Knox. He was playing with them.
Yeah, I mean, they were heavy. Like, this stuff is just like, and I'm sure yours is too, because I'm sure it's a lot of the same stuff. It's loud.
Yeah.
You know, you crank that up, it's trebly, you know.
Yeah.
It goes right through your head.
If you ever wanted to clear a 2020 dance hall within seconds, you know, then cough or sneeze. No, I'm just kidding. You can play the Electric Eels.
And that's funny because a lot of, if you notice, there's one common factor in this episode of all these groups from 76 to 75 is a lot of them loud.
Yeah.
Very loud.
Very loud. I don't have the 45, but Cleveland also had another really group called the Mirrors, who had 145 out in the same label that Peruba put their singles out on. The Mirrors had their single was Shirley, and the others, the side B was She Smiled Wild. And if you haven't heard those, you can YouTube Mirrors Shirley. It's worthwhile hearing. And that's pretty much all I got, Neil.
All right.
You know.
Well, it was a good episode. The last one was really good. I think we got a couple of minutes to see ourselves out here. So what are we looking at for the future here? Next couple of episodes. Anything on your mind?
Well, we did the Roots of Punk 1 and 2. We started out with 1954, the early rock and rollers, went all the way up to the New York scene. So, I mean, the next thing would be the Sex Pistols.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Our artist spotlight, which currently has Genesis, Pordridge, and the Ramones. So this will be our third artist spotlight, which will be 1 or 2 episodes. It's ironic because it's a very short amount of time, but there's so much to say. There's a cast of characters, and there's so much to say about it.
I agree. Also, I'd like to do what we did with rock music the last couple episodes. I'd like to do that with Jamaican music.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea.
Start with the roots of the roots, like the early Jamaican mento music, and go all the way to the story of Jamaican music.
I think that's great, man. We could just do, you know, mento, Jamaican R&B, and ska, and then, you know, and then take it from there. You know, rock steady and early reggae stuff. I like that idea like a lot. Like I'm really like tripping on that idea.
Cool. Yeah, man. Well, one thing's for sure, me and you know how to talk about music at length.
Yeah. Well, see, that's not bad. Nice little 35-minute episode. So, you know, I guess I'll have you take us out.
All right. I'll take us out by saying, don't touch your face, and zip, zam, bowie, and swoosh.
Oh, wash your hands.
See you next time.